The Simone Feiler Podcast, giving authors a platform. Welcome to the podcast.
Today on the podcast, I am thrilled to be joined by the wonderfully talented Ellen Reid, author of the Thornton Mysteries, her elegant 1920 set Whodunits, brimming with antiques, arts and intrigue. Ellen has already published 18 books with 20 due by Christmas, and her catalogue stretches from cosy murder mysteries to ghost stories, thrillers and novellas with a paranormal twist. Very intriguing and fun and scary. Her stories have been compared to Agatha Christie, Downton Abbey and Miss Fisher's murder mysteries for their atmosphere, wit and sense of time and place. And the fabulous Sarah Kennedy, the voice artist who narrates Ellen's audiobooks and gives her voice to her cast of characters, is also joining us. From high society heroines to shadowy suspects. Sarah does an absolutely amazing job, and I'm so glad to welcome you both to the podcast today. Thanks for joining me, ladies.
Thank you, Simone.
Pleasure
Lovely to be here. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been a bit of a long time coming. We've discussed will after this book we'll have a chat, and then things got in the way, and so it's really good to finally be together with you both here.
Yeah,
we were just having a chat on off air that been a bit of a tumultuous year, 2025. I might even just say not only politically and what else is going on globally, but for us personally. I had a cancer scare earlier this year, and Ellen, you bumped your head.
Yes, definitely.
And how are you feeling now? Because that was earlier in the year.
Yes, that was right in January, and yes, I'm feeling good now. But it's a bit of a long road, longer than you expect.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But you're still back to writing and everything now?
Yes, I've been writing, and even when my face was black and blue, I still tried to type.
Oh, what a champion.
Much as I could.
Yeah.
I had sore wrists as well, so it was difficult. But, when the story's there, you've got to sort of get it down.
That is dedication, right? 18 books already, and you've got another 2 more on the way before Christmas.
Yes.
What drives your extraordinary pace, and how do you keep those ideas flowing, Ellen?
Well, I don't know. My head just seems to be crammed with stories, and if I think of something, I'll, get in and write it down, like in not a full plot, but at least put some notes down, because I might not get to write it straight away. But I don't know, I just plan it, think it through, and then I do a lot of my thinking before I sit at the computer, and I find that that's where I write quicker and more, because you've been thinking ahead. I mean, Agatha Christie, I remember a comment she made that she did a lot of her thinking washing up. So that's what I mean. You think the story through when you're going for your walk or washing up, having a shower, anything you want to do. I think it through, so that by the time I sit actually at the desk in the morning, I just go then with the writing.
Do you know where you're going when you sit down to write a chapter? Do you know what's going to happen?
Most times.
Yeah.
I might not know it days ahead, but I'm working to a point. So I always obviously know the beginning and the end. I like to know the end, particularly with the Thornton Mysteries, because it is a murder mystery, and it's leaving it a bit much if I don't know the end to start with. I'd be thinking, I hope I'm going in the right place here. So often then in the middle just comes as I'm writing, so people say, do you plot or you're a pantser? Well, I'm a bit of both. I feel with a mystery, you've got to have the framework, but sometimes, as you're writing, new things develop and you'll think of something extra. Or the other side of it is that I have actually added another character in sometimes, because I'm writing so far, and then I think there's a bit of a hole and I need to, bring something else in. So the best way is a new character. Of course, then they have to fit the framework and everything else. But I have done that, yes. Like partway through, I'll just think. So what I have to do in that case, sometimes I have to go back to the first few chapters and just tweak it, because that character should have been there. probably in chapter 1. And but if it's needed, well, I go ahead, I do that.
Does that happen often?
No, not too often, luckily.
Yeah, because
But I do in book 6, I did that. That's which we haven't got to the audiobook of that
that's still
yet.
coming.
But in book 6, I did do that, where I added an extra character. And it was because of that reason. It was just that I'd reached a point in the story. I never got to the end. It was just like somewhere in the middle. And it was just that things needed to develop more, and it wasn't going to develop with the set of characters I had. So I just, I thought just mold over it and come up with another character and threw him in. But it worked in the long run. But it doesn't happen too often, thank goodness.
So your 1920s vibe in the Thornton Mysteries,
Mm.
where did that come from somewhere?
Yeah,
Very
I think
cool,
I
by
just
the
like that
way.
era.
Obviously, you love Sarah's work bringing it to life, but you do such a great job, Sarah.
Absolutely. Yes. It wouldn't be the same without Sarah bringing them to life the way she has, really.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think you probably like that era too, Sarah, too.
I love it.
Too.
Love it.
Yeah.
Before I started working on the first book, I spent a lot of time just Googling images,
Yes.
so that I could get a really great sense in my head of what everything looked like, and that was really helpful. And it's such a great setting for this particular genre.
Yeah. I had to do the same. Like when I go right back to the first book, I obviously researched the era, what really I mean, you think you know something until you need to write about it. And yes, I had to research the clothes, the music, because I like to bring music in, and the food, because the food is, it was different. There were things that we don't have today that they did actually serve in the 1920s. And I also had to think that the 1920s, I love Downton Abbey and probably a lot of people do, but that's a British setting of the 1920s, but in Australia, it's not quite as the upstairs, downstairs feel to it. And so I had to think, right now, what are the characters going to be like in, the Thornton family? So that's, developed a little bit as we've gone too, because, and I wanted to bring in the fact that Alexandra and the greater Thornton family, they haven't all got the name Thornton, but the greater Thornton family cared about their staff. And that I think comes out in the various stories too.
Definitely.
And a part that starts with in the fourth book that Murder in Paradise, that Sarah has just narrated, with Sylvie, that develops further. Sylvie's the daughter of the cook, but she becomes more cook in her own right. And in a later book, because of what happened in the circumstances, they got the grand title of head chef and sous chef, Mrs. Preston and Sylvie.
Yeah.
So, developed that further. And
it's awesome because it's a good look at that part of history in Australia and, obviously solving the mystery along the way.
yes.
So,
But it is, you've got to think of the history as well, because that was the other thing. I had to look at what was happening in Australia, and particularly in Melbourne, where they were at that time, because if you wanted conversations, you couldn't say the wrong thing and give it away. In the very first book, which was set in 1927, Melbourne had been the capital of Australia up until then. And then, of course, it moved to Canberra. But it was in 1927 that happened. So I had to sort of make sure that I had them speaking the right thing when it come to that. I've just put in a scene that, showed that a little bit. But that could be a big faux pas if you get some small facts wrong. So I have a lot of spreadsheets. So I have a timeline of the years and what's happening in the country. And particularly as the different books have gone to South Australia and, other areas like Norfolk Island, you've got to know what's happening in those places too at that time.
How much time do you put in then to researching what's happening at that era or at that time?
Yeah, it's hard to put an actual length of time on it. It depends on the book itself, how much is needed. With Norfolk Island, I put a lot of history, a lot of research in because, it's terrible to say, but I didn't know a lot about it till I decided to write about it. And then, I found that the history, it's such a tiny island, but it's got such a huge history. And so the more, I went down the rabbit hole several times, you discover things and you think, oh, that's interesting. So off I'd go researching that part of it. But probably a lot that you research doesn't come into the book. But for me, it provides that essential backstory and knowledge that I need to then write the story comfortably.
Have you not been there? Because
Yes.
You have been there?
Oh, yes, I've been there now.
Right.
But when I first started, the idea, it sort of crossed over in a way because we decided that we were going to go to Norfolk Island because we'd heard how lovely it was. So because that was 6 months that we were going to go in, in 6 months' time, I thought, well, I've got to do a book there. So I started researching it before I went. And I'm glad I did because then I at least had some knowledge.
Yeah, I got such a strong sense that you had been there.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Yes. I try and go to places I write about because, you get the feel of it. And it was good because by doing some research to start with, then when we went, I knew what I wanted to find out and what questions I needed to ask. And so it's an incredible place. But
I was going to say it was beautiful because the little bit of research that I did is just like, oh my gosh, that place is paradise.
Yes.
It certainly sounds like it.
Yeah.
Have you been, Sarah?
No.
But you want to go now,
on my bucket list.
You definitely painted a beautiful picture of it. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's a lot of people haven't heard much about it. The truth is, but it is out there as one of those hidden gems.
Yeah.
So definitely worth a visit. That's for sure. Yeah. We stayed for about a week. I think it was 7 or 8 days, and you like a tiny little island. You can only drive 40 miles or 40 kilometers an hour. That's the speed limit.
Right.
So at that speed limit, you can drive from one side of the island to the other in 20 minutes. So it's you can see how it's not,
and that really helps to explain the tight knit. The tight-knit community. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Amazing.
And when you go, when you're driving around, cows and chickens or any other free-ranging animals have right of way.
Yeah.
So you have to stop.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That would be such a great pace of life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
And
if
you
you,
have to wave to everyone, as you go by, you give
I
the wave.
bet. Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet.
that's
Yeah,
such a good
yeah,
thing though, that's
Yeah.
really
yeah.
explains the tight community and everybody kind of knowing each other and the
Mm.
friendliness, because a lot of that's being lost, I think, in
Yeah.
today's
Yeah.
society.
Yes, that's
Even just
right.
going for a walk around the street, some people don't even say hello anymore when you
No,
pass them.
that's
So,
right.
so
Yeah.
that's a good
No,
thing.
exactly.
Why did you choose not Norfolk Island? Was there that you thought, I want to go there, or because you'd been there, or what was that
Yeah.
catalyst?
Well, it was more that we were going to go there, but then I didn't know I knew a very small amount of the history, but like just the fact that I knew that, well, the history it goes right back to the Mutiny on the Bounty fame, which most of us know through a movie more than anything
Definitely.
else.
Yeah.
And I did know that there was the link the um, from the ones that were part of the mutiny. They went back to Tahiti and then they went to Pitcairn Island. And I knew that they had come to Norfolk Island at some point. So that point actually was in Queen Victoria's time, where she granted them Norfolk Island to come to, because Pitcairn was even smaller, apparently. And so she said, "Come over to Norfolk Island." So and I knew sort of those basic facts, but then the history that is behind all that, like Norfolk Island had a history of a convict settlement before the Pitcairners came over, and when Port Jackson or Sydney, was first founded, Norfolk Island was virtually the breadbasket of the new colony. And so they grew all the food for Port Jackson at the time.
Mm.
So
Mm.
there's like that history that comes from that. And then they had convict settlement on Norfolk. And so with all the paradise and beauty of the place, it had this dark history
Mm.
a little bit, for a while, with the different commandants or, who ruled the convict settlement. There were a couple that were very strict and the conditions were terrible for the convicts. They were put in rooms that they could only stand up in. And you can go there now and see mainly just the footings of the rooms and convict settlements. So I wouldn't suggest going there at night, though. It's a bit eerie.
No.
So, as I say, it's a huge history from one source and then from the other merges together. So, yes, and I mean, I love history, so it just appealed to me.
Where did your love of history come from, do you think?
Um, I think just reading even as a child, I just seemed to go towards books that, like, just in a child version of King Arthur
Yeah.
and led me into, in my teens, I just read a lot of books, even if they weren't all factual. They didn't have to be non-fiction, but I liked Jane Austen, with Pride and Prejudice and all her wonderful books, who's one of my favourite authors. And so I read her books and a lot of others, Agatha Christie, of course,
Yeah.
the
We
mystery.
Yeah, well, you do get likened to Agatha Christie and
Yes, yes,
Downton
I have
Abbey
done,
and
yeah, yeah.
Mrs. Fisher's. But is that how you see your books, in that sort of same genre?
Yes, yes, I think so. Yes. I seem to be able to that what appeals to me. So I suppose then if you're writing about something you're comfortable with, that you love, it's going to come out good, you hope. It should do. As long as you don't add too many characters in halfway through.
Forget about them and add them halfway through. Lucky you don't have to go right back to the series, right?
Yeah, that's right. It would be a bit much.
And so, well, you've done now 6 audiobooks here at Brisbane Audiobook
Yes,
Production with Sarah
yes,
narrating.
I
Fabulous
know.
books.
And
Uh,
Sarah's narrated, I mean, Sarah's voice acted them,
yeah,
really.
she definitely
It's not
has.
just narrating, Sarah. You put so much into it that,
Yeah. How did it first sound to you when you first heard Sarah bring it to life,
mm,
Ellen?
well, to start with, like, it's a bit surreal hearing your characters speaking. So but that wasn't Sarah. That was my just how you experience something like that. But honestly, I was just so happy from the beginning with just like the show. After I got over the shock of actually hearing my character speaking, then I was
Mm,
able to settle in and enjoy, really.
yeah. And what
Yes,
about your process, Sarah? What's your process bringing these characters to life? And do you have a spreadsheet and that sort of thing?
Yes, I do. I've got lots of Thornton files, and I've got one big long track that has all of my character voices in it.
mm,
So I can click on that track, and the program that I use, I can click a button, very technical, and it will split all of those. I've got little markers. This is getting a little bit technical now, but it will split all of the character voices, and I can see a list of all the character voices. So if I ever feel like, oh, gee, that person hasn't spoken for a while, I might need to just remember what they sound like, and just give
yeah,
myself a bit of a run up to the character's speech. I can just select that, have a listen, do a bit of a sing along with it for that particular little phrase. They're just little phrases,
mm,
and that's my little in to get me back into that particular character's voice. So like my master character file, and I would be lost. I'd be lost without that. Other things that I do, I spend a bit of time before I go into the booth. Well, I mean, first of all, I just read the book through once, just for me, on
Yeah.
the couch with a cushion and a cup of tea, and it's
What a great
just
excuse to say, hey,
ah,
excuse me, I'm
it's
working.
amazing.
I mean, I
So
love my
good.
job so much.
So
You must
I'm
love
working,
yours.
leave me alone. Yeah, that's great. And then I read, and then
Gold.
I do a second read through where it's more business-like, and I'm taking notes and I'm looking up things. And I don't know how to say that word. That's not a word that is usually in my normal vernacular, so I've got to have a listen to that. And there are different sort of websites that I go to very frequently to help solve those sorts of mysteries. And then I spend a lot of time just looking at images. The imagery is a really very helpful for me, just to help me feel like I'm giving a rounded performance. I don't know if it actually comes through, but it helps to convince me that I'm
yes,
doing a better job of it if I
yes.
have pictures in my mind of what the view looks like.
Mm,
It's one thing to read the words, but it's another thing altogether to have a really strong image in your mind of what the house looks like, what the driveway looks like, what the cars look like, or the chairs, or anything at all. So that's always really helpful, and just gives me more confidence as a storyteller. Which I think the more confident you feel, it's very likely the better job the better performance you're going to give at the end
yes,
of the day. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. And at this point, I feel like I really know some of those characters so well that it's just an absolute delight to revisit them. And I think that some of them are probably getting, they're developing, and I'll be, they'll be increasing the level of cheekiness or humor, or that sort of, because I know them well, and I figure a lot of potentially a lot of the listeners will also have come with us on this journey, and they will be open to that, to that sort of concept of pushing boundaries a little bit in terms of familiarity, with the characters that have a familiarity with each other, but also the familiarity that we might have as the storytellers or the story presenters, with the audience. There's a relationship that I think has, at this point, it's probably safe to say that there's a bit of a relationship that has developed as well, between say us as the audiobook team and the loyal audience that has come along. So yeah, that's
it's such a cool dynamic between the two of you, as a producer, because like you obviously do have a really good grip on the characters because you're bringing them to life in your voice, but it probably you have a slightly different version because you're a different people, obviously, of what the characters actually are or what they might really look like in your own minds. But can you sort of see any difference when you hear it, Ellen? When you hear Sarah narrating, are you thinking that's, like that's more than what I anticipated that character to be, or maybe not quite exactly how I thought it'd be, but obviously you've been happy, or you would have said that's, exactly what I want.
Yes, no, I've always been happy. Sometimes there might be, as you say, Sarah, the characters change a little bit themselves. And I think that, Sarah, you've portrayed that beautifully. And it must be difficult because I know what the characters and like from the beginning, but then you had to sort of learn and absorb those characters. And I think between us, and the audiobook, of course, is Sarah's voice there. I've always really been happy. Can't say I've ever been annoyed or anything with, and especially in the beginning, it was difficult, and I think, oh, that's Edie's voice, but it was good because you portrayed Edie's character in that voice, and she's a bit quirky and comes out with the comments all the time. So Sarah's always carried that through. So, and I can appreciate that could be really difficult, with some voice artists, it could be a train wreck, I guess, compared to what the author wants and what comes out through the voice artist. It could be all wrong, really. But it really works, Sarah.
Thank goodness for that.
That's right.
It works beautifully.
Could have been very awkward.
I know, particularly after 4 books.
Imagine that. Why didn't you say something?
Yeah, now that you ask, I've got some.
Now that we've got that out, it's all smooth sailing from here.
That's right.
So, but Sarah, how have you got such an array of different characters? You're so versatile and so clever with your voice.
Well, thank you so much. I don't know. It's such a relief to hear you say that, Simone, because a lot of the time I'm working on my own. I'm not getting any, constant kind. No one is kind of buoying me and telling me I'm doing a great job, and I'm sometimes I don't know if I am doing a great job, to be perfectly honest. As creative people, I'm sure both of you ladies completely relate to that. Sometimes I am not at all convinced that I'm any good at all. So my answer is I don't know. I think I push myself as much as I can. And I think that it's quite likely I expect a lot of myself a lot of the time. And I'm probably not very kind to me. I'm quite nice to other people, but I'm not very nice to myself. And so
lucky we've got this on tape to play that back to you now.
Yeah, like I can be pretty critical, and there's a lot of re-records. Don't worry about that. Like what I send through to you, Simone, don't worry. Sometimes some of the sections or even whole chapters, you're getting my third version of it.
That's a really valid point. Now, my background's in radio. I'm not a voice actor as such, but I've done read ads and been on air and all of that stuff. I do not shop myself out as an audiobook narrator for that reason. Because you're so self-critical. So I can totally understand that it would not be your first take, but what you send to me is so I always in my emails to Sarah, I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. Like how, your finished product, what I get is
Yes,
outstanding. So we love your work. And
yes,
four books into the Thornton Mystery series says the listeners love your books as well, and
yes,
also the other
yes.
two, and the countless other books you've done for other people as well. So you're
That's
I
amazing.
can't
right.
tell. I can't tell you how much that means to me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep. So we've got you've got another two on the way before Christmas.
yes. Well, they
So
are two Thornton books. It's the number 7 um, is next, and that's next month coming out. And earlier this year, I decided that I'd wanted to do a Christmas Thornton one.
very
So the
cool.
thing is that because the Christmas one follows over with some of the characters from book 7, I reached a point where I'm starting to run out of months. And but this number 7 had to come out before 8, which is a Christmas novella. So it is a shorter story. So that's the two that are yet to come. So
Mm.
yeah, so I'm glad I did the Christmas one. I've really enjoyed it. I sort of I didn't. It's not quite as full on with the mystery, though there is a murder in it, but it does deal a lot with the families. Bring in like and the families have grown because although Sarah's not up to that with the and we're not up to it with the audio books, but they have grown. No, I won't give any
Me
details
too. I
away
was worried,
exactly.
thinking, where's
But
this
there's
going?
been, yeah,
Don't.
so I wanted to make it like it was, it's Christmas at Thornton Park. So I thought I wanted to make it Christmas as well as have the mystery there in it too. But
Exciting for your
yeah.
readers. So what are the readers saying? Have you had anyone comparing the written book to the audio? Have you had any feedback?
Not directly, no. No one's ever said. I mean, I had reviews for the audiobook. A couple of people did read the book and then listen to the audiobook, so did another review. But all was good with it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know that,
It's all positive.
they enjoyed both.
Yeah,
So that was
awesome.
good.
You've got it.
So,
You've got your fan base is growing all the time. I mean, you're pretty much, well, in my opinion, and probably Sarah's too, one of the best in Australia, especially in your genre, right?
well, you've got to end up with a backlist. So obviously it's easy to promote the book that's just come out. But you've got to think of the backlist as well. So every so often I do, well, when a new book comes out, and I can add it to the list, then I can do a little bit of promotion about all the books. And I've done that at times where one week I'll do one book and I work through, but I haven't done that for a while. So probably time to do that again, just to remind people of the other books.
And do you guys have a favorite character? I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but do you?
Well, I
Hmm.
suppose Alexandra and Edith are my favourite. And they go together like hand and glove. So that's for me, I think, the favourites.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
Yeah.
what?
absolutely.
I'm gonna
I
hat
love
trick that.
Lexi because she's so forthright and she's challenged, she challenges the norm and she's cheeky and she's so confident
Yes.
and ballsy, in a way. She's such a wonderfully strong female character. And Edie as her hilarious offsider, who is so the other side of the spectrum in so many ways. And they just work so beautifully together. I
Yeah.
love the contrast there between those two girls so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, it's gold.
And I've had a lot of comments about the two of them, together. It's some people have said I just like Edie better, but
okay.
that's fair enough. What people have
Yeah.
as their own preferences, but
Yeah.
often it's the two of them.
Do you base your characters on people that you know, or, characteristics maybe of people that you know or meet?
Well, probably characteristics, not just one person, but you see, like, I can't remember now even. I think Edie sort of developed more. I can have a bit of a dry wit myself at times, so I suppose I put that into Edie's character. But yes, you'll always get bits and pieces of other people, especially like they're established characters, but with new characters that come into one particular book. And it's not always people I know or see. It might be something I've read and I think, oh, that would be good for a character. So you compile bits and pieces
Very
to
cool.
make the character, not so much visually like their appearance, but their characteristics. And yeah, so I think if you're an author or an actor, you take notice of people. I notice, like, if you sit still and just in a shopping centre, you can see the different people, but if you're walking, you don't notice as much. So it's good to have a coffee sometimes and people watch.
My husband always makes sure that whenever we are somewhere having a coffee or something, he always makes sure that I get the better view to people watch. So, this is a good thing for you. Yes, this is good. Thank you. And then he says, put your sunglasses on. People can see you looking at them.
Yes, you need to be observant, I think, to do, well, a lot of things. I guess if you're a painter, an artist, you'd have the same observation
You do a bit of
needs
that.
for it.
Are you still doing a bit of that?
Yes, I'm still doing a bit. Yeah, I do watercolor
Yeah.
and a little bit of acrylic. I'm sort of having a phase of watercolor at the moment and just enjoying it. I'm no great artist, but what I do, I enjoy, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, well, you can see that in your art that you enjoy it, because you could on your website, and you're also a photographer. You're a lady of many
Yes, yeah.
talents, very creative.
Yes, well, I think when you're creative with one thing, I think it flows over into others, doesn't it? I think most people who are creative would probably have maybe, I don't know what it would be, but if they're not a painter, maybe they're a poet or something else. They just or want to draw, or I think or music,
Yeah.
because my grandmother, she played the piano and she could sing and she could dance, and I think she's probably was an inspiration for me, as well as one of my grandfathers read all the time. So, I got my love of reading from him. So,
Yeah. Do you still find time to read?
yes, I do.
What are you reading at the moment?
Well, I'm listening to another audiobook, Sarah. Sorry, it's not one of yours, but
All right. It's all right. I'm also listening to another audiobook, not mine.
no. So the Little Beach Bakery, I think it is. Isn't it terrible? I can't think. Because when you open a paperback, you see the title all the time. And you do see anyway, it's set in England, this one, and it's a cozy mystery. So that's what I'm reading. That's the only one I'm listening to at the moment. And I'm reading another book from a writer in my writers group. So I'm reading her ebook at the moment. So I try and do that, and then support other people where I'll try and do reviews. But that's not my main thing because, again, it's just harder to fit in with everything else.
Yeah, definitely. Do you read before you sleep? Because when
Yes.
do you actually have time to read?
Yeah.
Although you're
Well, I
listening to an
usually,
audiobook, so you can multitask. But I don't think you could write and listen.
no,
Maybe you
no,
can.
no, definitely not. No, I tend to write, like I like music, but if anything, I'll listen to the music before I start to write, because sometimes it helps get the right setting and scene for me. So I'll maybe listen to something from that era. And Nat King Cole Stardust, for instance, something like that. But I listen to music, but not when I'm writing. For me, I've got to sort of be in my bubble and just write. And my husband usually puts a coffee on my desk and keep writing, sort of thing. But yes, I do like to have the peace and quiet when I write, because I get absorbed, and I probably don't hear it. I can still have noises around me, but you know what I mean? I just can't sort of have music loud or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
You're
everyone's
in the
different.
zone.
I
You're
know
in the zone.
writers who do like to write with music.
And what about you, Sarah? What are you reading at the moment?
I'm reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, Schwab, I think is how you spell the author's surname. And it's beautiful. And I read that before bed. And I'm really enjoying that. It just feels so indulgent for me. It's a very indulgent read. I think the way that this author writes just feels it's such an escape from my normal life. So that's what I do right before I go to bed. And I'm listening to Project Hail Mary, which is an Andy Weir novel. It's a sci-fi, and it's narrated by Ray Porter. And it is just such a masterclass in audiobook narration. I am just blown away, and I'm learning so much by listening to this incredible performance from Ray Porter. It's just, oh my gosh, so inspiring, and it's just making me want to be a better actor, a better narrator. You know, it's just incredible. Every single accent that this man, not just accent, but the characters are just incredible. But even just, I could go on about it for a long time, so I'll be careful not to talk for too long. But it's such a well-rounded performance. He has this incredible ability to overlay opinions and attitudes about what his character. It's first person, and he has this incredible ability to overlay the character's opinions and attitudes about what he's saying. So he's not just telling the story. He's telling the story and also making it very clear how he feels about what he's saying. And it's, my goodness, and it's incredible. It's very humbling to such an incredibly talented narrator bring this fantastically written story to life. So yeah, they're my two, and I listen to that whenever I can. So driving in the car, if it's just me driving in the car, that's what I'm listening to. If I'm walking on my own, I've got my earbuds in, and that's what I'm listening to. If I'm doing housework and no one's bothering me, I'm listening to it. So yeah, great, I love it. Yeah. Fantastic.
It must be inspiring for you, Sarah, though, to listen to other narrators.
It's incredible. Like when you find a narrator that is just amazing, I go through this process where I think that's it. I'm out. I can't do this anymore because other people are so much better than me, and why am I even bothering? And then,
Sarah.
No, it's all right. I work my way through. It's just me and my brain, and then eventually I get to a point where I feel okay about it all, and then I'm more inspired rather than feeling like a complete and utter failure in comparison. So yeah, but yes,
you mentioned that before, and I think like when you're writing. And you work on your own, well, you don't know what I sometimes don't know if what I've written is good because you've written it and you're so connected to it. It's hard to know until someone else reads it, and then if they rave over it, you get a shock, sort of, oh, okay, so it is okay.
Yeah.
So it is hard to have that sense of what you're doing is great, because
Yeah.
you're just there on your own doing it. Yes.
Yeah. I think
I think
everybody
that
probably.
I think that continuing to absorb other people's work and other people's creations, either whatever, in whatever form, we must do that. And there's a little ego, there's a little ego death that has to occur sometimes,
Yes, yes,
in order for us to grow and to take on, as much inspiration as possible.
yes,
You've got to stay humble. You have to stay humble, and
definitely.
I
if you're
think
not humble, you're not going to be open to so many lessons in life.
I think one of
Exactly.
the key things to know if you're on the right track, if your work's good, is if you really love it. If you're sitting there and you've lost lots of time doing that and you really love it, that love is
Yes,
usually in that thing that you've done somewhere that other people can
yes,
see. So, and the feedback that you both get, like, Sarah, I know you get a lot of really good feedback on the work you do, and justly so, because you're amazing at what you do, all your
yes,
different characters and how you deliver
definitely.
them. And the same with your writing, Ellen, the feedback is there. But yeah, and I guess to begin with, that would have been hard because you would have started somewhere saying, I'm going to do this. But now that
Yeah,
you know that both of you are established, you're doing good things. So you better both keep doing those things.
yes. I think you have a slightly different view of it, because when you're first starting, well, you don't know where you're going in a sense, and you don't know if you'll reach a point that you can say, well, I'm established because I've done this for a few years now, or this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But of course, I think you still have that fear that when you finish something, is it any good? And I think that's probably what keeps us going, because, as you said, Sarah, if you don't remain humble, then, well, it's just that would come across in your writing too, and I think
Yeah.
readers would pick up on that.
Yeah.
And I think there are things written like between the lines that people do pick up on. So yes, you've just got to stay humble, and yeah,
Keep the faith.
Keep
Keep the
the
that's
faith.
good in
right.
that thing. That's it. That's it.
Yes.
Do you guys ever collaborate?
I may have run one or two character voices by you
Yeah, you did
past when
in the beginning.
I've not been quite sure of how
Yes,
to approach, and I've wanted to see what you felt, Ellen.
yes.
Yeah,
And I
I think
think at the first book, because I do the spreadsheets, so I do spreadsheets of the characters, and I know I gave you my spreadsheets for the characters, at
yeah,
least in the first book,
yeah,
I also had some images,
yes,
that I gave them to Sarah with the first book. I think it was. It might have
yes,
been the second as well, but definitely the first book, just so Sarah had the sense of, like, not just having to read it and pick it up herself, but you said it helped anyway at the
oh, it's
time.
great. It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
amazing. You
So
set the bar. It was. I wish that I had that sort of material from every author that I work with. Fantastic. Yeah,
yeah,
amazing. So helpful in so many
yeah,
ways.
yes. So I think virtually it was just that first or second book, and then we've just
Yeah, we know
gone.
what we're doing
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
yeah. But even just being able to have a look at that spreadsheet, when I'm reading when I'm just coming across a new character, and I can see immediately how old they are.
Mm,
Rather than
right.
kind of discover that myself at some point during the book, or never really, potentially, maybe it never really gets mentioned.
Mm,
There's perhaps an age range implied, but to know for certain, at least at the beginning of the first couple of books, to have a really clear idea and an immediate source, instead of having that question pop up in the back of my mind and jotting it down and hoping, well, hopefully I'll get the answer to that at some point. Very helpful to just be able to refer to those spreadsheets and go, great, okay, that's immediately helpful, because different, a 65-year-old is going to have a different energy about them to
yes,
a
yeah,
21-year-old.
that's
Um,
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a huge range of ages in the characters.
Yeah.
So that's been the thing. And I've always made it difficult for Sarah by having people from different cultures. So she's got
Yeah. Yeah. It's always, I love it though.
different
It's such a nice
accents.
surprise when all of a sudden there's, someone left of
Yeah.
center. And you nail it, Sarah.
Yes,
You-
definitely.
I
Male
don't
and
know if
female,
I'm
so
not sure.
good.
I'm not sure if I'm going to take I nailed it, but yeah, I certainly have fun with
Yes.
with them. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Is there more of the Thornton series to come after the Christmas, 'cause
I
it's
do have an idea for another one.
awesome.
So probably number 9. I've never said that that'll be the end. I like in one sense, it is 1930 now, and so I had thought initially I would keep it, to 1929, only go so far, but as it's progressed, so and there has been, years past, and I thought,
It's like
do I go to
Coronation Street.
1930 or not?
Yeah.
But the story needed to be told, so it went into 1930. So the next two are both 1930. So,
It could be like one of
but
those American daytime soaps that keep going forever. I think
Yeah.
Bold and the Beautiful is still going.
yes, I mean sometimes you just like I'm writing a fantasy romance, but based on mythology, and the second book's just come out with Serenade Publishing, who's a Queensland publisher. And the third book will come out in February, but that's like the 3 books. And so that was what was planned, 3 books. And sometimes that happens, you just plan the story overall. You've got the bigger arc of the storyline and you finish it.
Mm.
But who knows, you can always pick something up and
Yeah.
maybe, go further with it or bring in other characters, but at the same setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you might pick because this is you build a world and you think, well, you've done that. So do you sometimes you could go, the obvious thing is you can do what, in writing multiverses. So you've got your initial story that you might have created, and then you might go off on a tangent from that story, but not the actual story, but the world you've built. You may keep the same. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always
Endless
it's
possibilities.
always
So,
possible.
yeah. Yeah. So creative. And yeah, that's amazing to even think that you could go do something like that, shoot off. So yeah, an incredible writer's mind there, right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Well, the book I'm writing at the moment, because I have them overlapping, I'm at different stages. Because I'll do the first 2 drafts and then let it sit and clear my head, because you can't, I just go around in circles if you just did a third draft that's the way I like to do it anyway. So I'll start researching something else or writing another book while one's sitting there waiting. So,
I was
and
percolating. Author's
yeah,
brain. I just find it fascinating. Yeah, incredible. I
Incredible.
take my hat off to you to have
thank
so
you.
much going on in there all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. You have
Yeah.
to switch off though sometimes, to give you
Come
self.
back to
And
the
that's
real
why
world.
I let one book, sit, because I have to clear my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, but gardening and other things, painting helps.
Yeah.
Just you need a different interest as well, or reading, but
Yeah.
at least, you just need to
Yeah.
take a break,
Mm.
let the head clear.
Yeah. I
Well,
reckon.
it's been a very busy year for you this year,
Yeah.
obviously, from
Yes.
you've got another 2 to come still, so it's not quite over,
Yes. No,
2024.
not quite
And
over
all that
yet.
with you had your head injury, so you're
Yes.
incredible, really. So, and people can find out more about you on your website. So
Yes,
tell us
yeah,
about that. Because there's all you've got your painting on there, you've got photography on there, and of course
yeah,
access to your
yeah.
books.
Yes, I do have all those other things on it as well, but it's I suppose its prime thing is the writing.
Yeah.
So,
And that's
but
Ellen
all the
Reed.
books are on it.
Yeah. So ellenreed.com is the website, and you're on
Yes,
LinkedIn as well under Ellen Reed.
yes, yeah.
Awesome. And Sarah,
So,
what about you? Where can people find you?
People can find me at my website, which is sarahkennedyvoiceover.com. I'm also on LinkedIn as Sarah Kennedy. I have an Instagram, and I have a Facebook page. If you just Google those, I'm sorry, I can't remember what my Instagram handle is,
no,
but if you find my website, that'll get you to wherever else you want to go.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then you're available for work, obviously, voiceover work, and if anyone wants to reach out to you.
Yes, I'm not planning on retiring anytime soon, unfortunately.
That's good.
I'm
That's
not
good.
off to Norfolk Island just yet.
Ladies, it's been awesome. I could chat on, but obviously all got things to get on with. But thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time today. I really appreciated the chat.
Yes, it's been wonderful. Thank you. Thank you
My
to you both.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
been
both.
lovely to chat to you.
Yeah.
We could
I
sit
love
down and
listening
talk
to
for
you,
hours.
Ellen, talk about how about your work and how you come up with things. I'm always like, this is amazing. You're amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thank
think
you.
that
Well,
of
I
both
think
of
the
you
same
too.
about you, Sarah. You're amazing.
And
Awesome.
Simone, thank you so much for
Yes,
doing such a
Simone, thank
beautiful
you.
job of
Yeah.
producing
I
the
was
audio.
going to ask one question. Sarah, have you
Yeah.
ever listened to like the final produced version?
No, I'm not the whole
Well,
thing.
Yeah.
No. Oh no, I don't think I could ever sit and listen to an entire audiobook narrated by Sarah Kennedy.
What
No,
the
thanks.
heck?
I might listen to the retail sample. I mean, I do enough. I hear my own voice all the
Yeah.
time. I don't
Yeah.
need to
yeah.
listen to myself tell a whole story.
I
Everyone
haven't sort
gets the
of
ending.
got it off one of the platforms and, bought it and listened to it, but I listened to it all, of
You
course,
do,
after
right?
you've given it to me,
Yeah.
Simone, to check it over. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
that counts.
yeah, that's right.
You don't need to listen to it again. You're too
Awesome.
busy with other things.
Well, that's right. Yeah, it really does come down to time with some
Yeah,
things, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
very true. Very true.
Yes,
All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful day and thanks
yes,
again for your
thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Simone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Lex.
Sarah.
All the best.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for joining the Simone Feiler Podcast.
What's your story?
Contact Simone for a chat at brisbaneaudiobookproduction.com.